Alright, this video is a review of our Chapter 1 Mini Mastery for Math 7. And again, I want to encourage you guys, it is okay if you made mistakes. Mistakes are really more valuable than getting everything right the first time. We learn more from doing stuff wrong and then figuring out what we did wrong than we really do from just doing it right from the get-go. So let's get my document camera going here, try to get it focused in, and let's talk through these answers. So in number 1, we were supposed to find area and perimeter. Number 2, you did not actually have to find the perimeter. So in number 1, our area can be found by base times height. Rectangles and parallelograms both solve the same way. So down in number 2, your parallelogram is also going to solve the same way. And like we just reviewed in class yesterday, triangles are base times height, and then we have to do half of that somewhere. We could do half of one of the values, base or height. So I could have done half of the height here because it's an even number. That wouldn't have been that bad. So I could have done 2 times 11, or I did 4 times 11, got 44, and then divided by 2. And again, you can see my work for finding the perimeters of those. I doubt that I really need to review that. For area of parallelogram, like I just said, base times height, watch out. You don't need that 10. It is a distractor. We would use that for perimeter, but we're not going to use it for area. And then our trapezoid here, let's see if my light helps. I don't know if it will. Maybe. Yeah, probably. So, the tricky part here is we first have to add the 2 bases together. The 2 bases on Khan Academy were indicated by the little parallel arrows, but here we just have to recognize that these are parallel to each other, because obviously these other sides are not parallel to each other. So we add the bases together, and like we watched in that video from yesterday, if you remember it, if we put a point right here, drew a line, and cut the triangle, flipped it over, we could turn this entire parallelogram into a big old triangle, which is really where this formula derives from. But the new base would be the sum of the top base and the bottom base originally, which is why we add those bases together. We divide by 2 because if it was a triangle formula, right, at some point we have to divide by 2. So we wouldn't have to do this here. We could wait till the end. But what I decided to do was take this division by 2 and apply it to the 20 because that's easier. And again, that 20 came from our height. So our commutative property allows us to do that. And then when we do the math, double check that we do orders or operations in the correct order. So we're actually here going to add these first before we do the multiplication, because these are grouped together. And that would actually refer to our associative property. We got to add those bases. That's really like pretty much the first thing we should have done. But I didn't really do any math till down here. So we get our final answer of 696.7 meters squared. And always your areas are going to be your units squared, right? Centimeters squared, inches squared, whatever your units are squared. Flipping to the back here, a lot of us had some struggles on 3A, finding the difference between 10 and 40. So again, if we're starting at 10 and going to 40, that's only a difference of 30. So I'm trying to move my dot cam here to be more in the light. And then our scaling, again, reminder on scaling, you take the total distance, divide by how many gaps we have. So over here, our scaling was a total distance of 75 divided by the 5 gaps. We got 15 for each gap, and most of us got this 45. Number 4 tripped a lot of us up. Not the theoretical part, because a lot of us remember theoretical means just to think about it. But down here, the total. Our probability is always the thing we're looking at, the favorable outcomes, right? Which in this case would not necessarily be quote-unquote favorable, but it is the thing we're talking about, green, over the total amount of cubes, which is the 20 other cubes plus the 5 green cubes, because these are 20 other colors. So sorry if that tripped you up, but that was one of the questions that got a lot of people. That is a trap door, guys. That 20 makes you think that's the number you're going to write down, but it's 20 other colors, so we need to actually add that with the 5. And of course, percent means per 100 or out of 100 or whatever you wrote there. Most of us had that correct if we actually wrote it out in words. And that, in under 5 minutes, is your review of the Chapter 1 Mini Mastery. I'm going to show this again just so it's at the end of the video. If you still have questions, if you still need help, if this still doesn't make sense, come and ask for help so that you are prepared for the actual Chapter 1 mastery. All right, thank you very much, guys. Have a great day.